the devastation of the enemy's attack. Man, it goes to the point, Lance, where I'm talking about it's bad news. The fire goes before them, and what they leave behind them is black. And I happen to be reading a book, and as I'm reading the book, it talks about the devastation of just completely annihilating a planet. Just killing all life on this planet. The utter destroying of it all. And this is what this is like, and it talks about these things. That here's God's people going through this huge calamity that they have to go through because guess what? They were what? They were stupid. The thing is that if you know you're hyper stupid because God's people are God's people. They know. We all know, but yet we want to fit with any hyper because it's stupid if you don't know no different. But you're hyper stupid as if you know different. It's like everybody knows that if you speed going through Damascus and you get a ticket, guess what you classify as? No. Hyper stupid. Because Damascus is known as what?
Speed trap.
Yeah. If everybody knows the speed trap and you go tell somebody, I got a speeding ticket in Damascus, they're like, what? How are you so stupid? Even got to do the disclaimer. How are you so stupid? You're not just so, how are you stupid? It's, how are you so stupid? Everybody knows this. Well, I thought I could get away with it. Again, hyper stupid. So God's people know. And how many stories are in the Bible about God's people having to go through crap, and then God comes in and bails them out? Well, do they think that God's always going to bail us out? But the problem is that God may bail his people out, but he does not bail the person out. Because there's so many stories in the Bible where men, women, and children, and animals, and everything, entire crops were decimated.
That's right.
So many people were killed. The story about where David in his vanity went out there and he just basically did the census because he wanted to know how strong his army was. God had told him not to. Guess what he did? He did it anyway. God says, okay, big boy, here's your choice. You win the prize. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. And so he went through all these things, and how many hundreds of thousands of people died because David thought, well, maybe God would be gracious to me. And within the first day, he killed like how many hundreds of thousands of people? God didn't spare them. These were his people, and God wiped them out because of the leader's decision. That tells us a scary precedence right there. That God may save America, but he did not promise that he wouldn't kill us, or we wouldn't be killed through it.
Oh, for sure.
The thing is that I remember somebody telling me, well, I believe that Jesus didn't really suffer on the cross. What the? Why? Because in his mind, this person believed that God is going to spare them of his wrath. We all feel that God is going to spare us of his wrath. The problem is he ain't going to do it. He ain't going to do it. He's not, because then he would have to go back to all these other. Can you imagine like God sparing Lance from his wrath, and you're like, God, what did I do wrong? You didn't spare me and my family. Well, I'm God. I do what I want to do. No, that's how you think. God is not a respecter of people. Jesus even said it himself. If he cast away the vine, what's he going to do to this thing that's been engrafted? You ain't even a Jew. You're a Gentile. You was like inherited. You was basically adopted in. So if I'm going to whoop the snot out of my kids, guess what I'm going to do more so to you? Yeah. So the thing is that God ain't playing. God is not going to play. God is not playing with America as it is right now. We are in trouble. But yet, we're not hearing. We're not going to hear because we're still acting as if I am still as supposed to be a Christian. I'm still planning on ways to go Roundup, but not just Roundup, not just Eraser. I want to use Eraser Max. Because you know the difference between Eraser and Eraser Max? It's got a big plus in it because that plus means sterilization. So if you go within an area, because see, I did this once. I got tired of weeding my daddy's and mama's garden. After daddy was gone, I decided, David, that I'm going to walk out there and I'm going to do it. I thought, well, that's a good way to take care of my garden. It's going to round up this son of a gun, Kerry. I thought that would be okay. It just kills, the plants and it doesn't, go give them salt. So, again, what does Monty do? Because he is very intelligent. If a little does it, a lot has to be what? Better.
Something worth doing is worth over.
Exactly. So Monty overdone it. Guess what didn't happen for a couple of years? Nothing grew in that garden. It looked like the Dead Sea. Mama said, "When was nothing growing?" I'm like, "Heck, I don't know, Mama." I wasn't going to tell her that Monty sterilized the ground. So I'm going to sterilize this guy's $1 million grass. What kind of Christian am I thinking about stuff like that, Lance? Is $550 going to kill me? No. It's the freaking principle. Don't get hung up on principles. Don't get hung up on principles. The Bible says clearly that if you loan money, see, I didn't loan him money, but in the way I did, the Bible says that if you loan money to somebody and you cannot give it as a gift and say, "Look, I don't need it no more." Don't do it. Don't do it. Because all it's going to do is cause friction. And the thing is that I don't need it. So I've had to learn, and I'm still learning. Give it to God. But so where do we need to be? Verses 18 and 19. Amber and I were sitting there this morning. Actually, we need to be now. What will get us there? 15 through 17. That's where we need to be. The thing is that Amber and I were sitting there this morning, and she's talking about Jessica and talking about her. And let's just face the reality. We've got to do some things. We're getting there, and things are happening, and I'm actually realizing myself that I've not had my focus on the church as I should be. So it's happening. All of that being said, the children. And for Jessica and for Amber to carry this thing, she says it's not fair because we've got a couple of issues. All right, so let's just be perfectly honest with you. Those of us that are in attendance, Christy don't get to come to church every Sunday. But she came to church today, and where's Christy at? She's having to be there. Why? Somebody had to. There has to be at some point. Can you imagine what Sunday be like if I didn't do my job? Well, something won't cover. You can't do that. That's not how you function a business. Eric, do you not have assigned roles? Everybody has roles. Problem is that when will be the right time to do what we need to be doing? Because honestly, let's look at it. We've got kids, Jessica, when they're in the class with you, you know that we should have a bare minimum of 2 classes. God will, I believe that we're right next door to a school. Why are we not got more kids than we should have? Why? I'll tell you why we don't have them, because we can't handle them. Why can we not handle them? I don't know. I'm doing my job. I know Jessica and Amber does her job because that's their roles. Everybody has their roles, but the thing is that there is other ministries that have to be taken care of. So this is where Amber and I was talking about. She said, "Monty, we really got to be praying about somebody stepping up and taking these things." I'm like, okay, I get it. Who? That's my thing. Who? And I'm going through these things, and I'm thinking, because we've got these kids that need to be separated, we need to decide, because you realize if you choose to not follow in your calling, do you realize that you are specifically judged by your refusal to do your calling? Does that make sense? What do you think God's going to judge you by? Sabrina, God is not, unless you really have this feeling on you, well, I know I should be a pastor. Well, unless you really feel that, God is not going to say, well, Sabrina, you're supposed to preach last week. I didn't feel that, God. But if he laid something else on your heart, that's what he's going to judge you by. There are some of y'all that I look at and I'm like, I can tell that I honestly want to ask you, why did you walk away? 90% of the people who walked away from church got hurt by stupid people in church. That's just reality. But you got to understand something. It ain't about church. It ain't about the people in church. It ain't about these people who do it. It's not about them. Don't you think that God sits there and kind of goes? Because I don't see really hardly any account in the Bible where ministers of God had a gravy job. I love the concept of this one group called Apologetics. And he asked the question, how come they do not have mission trips to Italy? Well, the food is good. Think about this one. Every mission trip is to armpits. Well, the food is no bueno. Think about that. They don't have mission trips. AJ, you got a great mission field right in front of you. Burger King. Guess what? You're hungry? You get a discount. As well as air conditioning. It ain't 10,000 degrees, is it, Lance? Yeah. But that's a mission field. The thing is that I'm thankful that God did not call me to Pine Bluff. That would have been a blessing compared to where some people are called to. But guess what? If you go and you obey it, God's going to take care of things. Even if you get killed, God's got it handled. As I've told you, the day that I'm out there cleaning out the sewer in New Mexico and I'm covered with crap all over me, I say, God, this is a perfect time to kill me. You know this, right? Because for once in my life, I know I'm doing God's will. Because I'm trying to fix this thing. And what made me mad, there was plumbers, Eric, plumbers, in their room watching TV. Christians. Y'all suck. But guess what? I have received the blessing from it. They're receiving the judgment for it.
Difference.
Big difference. I choose God. So we're thinking about the kids. We're thinking about what we need to be doing about the kids. What can we take it further? We've got to go, and I'm getting ready to have to order one probably today, a mini split unit to sit in there. The kids are hot. It sucks in there. I wouldn't want to be in there. Y'all wouldn't want to be in there. Let y'all sit in there at 10,000 degrees in the summer, 37,000 degrees below zero in the winter. You wouldn't do it. It's cold. Shut up. Come on. God is going to judge us by how we do these things. So I'm sitting there. And I'm like, okay, God, I don't understand, because he led me there, and I started looking at this word, and all of a sudden God stops. He doesn't take me no further than this word. I'm sitting there, Emily, and I'm like, okay, God, help me to understand why I'm paused. He says, you didn't look. And I looked at the thing that says, and afterwards. Wait a second. Okay, so in other words, we got to go through the crap before this happens. If we want to be there, we're going to have to go through the crap to get there. When verse 15 says, this is what will get us there. If we want to know how to live in this life, in other words, how to live in this point where, AJ, we're connected to a higher level of consciousness. We understand things. We see things. We see how things relate. We will no longer be bound by after vision. In other words, Dory, after we go through things, we realize, well, that was stupid, wasn't it? Wouldn't it be nice to have an alarm, Emily, that would go off right before we're doing stupid things? We have that alarm, but we just choose to not listen to the stupid things alarm. God gives us warning. He's been giving us warning. But here's the problem. This is one of our problems right here, because you notice the response. The first response after everything is being decimated, everything is being destroyed. Then they go to church. What would happen, AJ, instead of waiting after things are crap to go to church? What would happen if we flip the road? Yeah. And it's not just more blessing. What if we just didn't have to go through the crap? To me, I don't really care about the blessing, because everything I've ever been blessed with, I'm stupid about it anyway. And you realize that the problem with receiving blessings, everybody wants the blessing of God, but you realize that the blessings of God comes with a price. Everything that God gives you comes with a price of expectation. What are you going to do with it? So, this is what it says to do. God gave them, okay, here's how you fix this problem. He says, blow the trumpet in Zion. Sanctify a fast. Call a solemn assembly. Gather the people. Sanctify the congregation. Assemble the elders. Gather the children and those that suck at the breast. In other words, little babies. Let the bridegroom go forth out of his chamber, and the bride out of her closet. Let the priest, the ministers of the Lord, weep between the altar and the porch. Let them say, Spare thy people, O Lord, and give not thine heritage to reproach, that the heathen should rule over them. Wherefore should they say among thy people, Where is thy God? So, he's giving us steps. Isn't it funny when God gives us steps to do something, AJ? When God gives us steps to do something, what should we do? Follow these steps. So the first step is what? Verse 15. In other words, sound the alarm. Did you know that there are people, and that's one of the things that I discovered in my calling, that being a watchman. The watchman who sits upon the wall, AJ, and that is his job to scan.